Good morning, dear Professor. We are Group A63. I'm the first present Pei Hua. Today I will talk about our research. Title: How cost of sales and operating expenses affect net profit margin, a study for farmer fish per head. Profit is very important for companies' long-term success. This is true for manufacturing farmers like farmer fish. In recent years, those companies face high costs and have more daily expenses like rent and staff. Sell market competition is so strong. Our study focuses on net profit margin. It shows how well companies manage costs and make money. We want to find two things. First, how cost of sales affects profit margin. Cost of sales is the money spent to make product. Second, how operating expenses factors it. Operating expenses are daily cost to run the business. To do this research, we chose farmer fish per head as a cost study. We calculated the two costs of percentage company's revenue. This makes it easy to compare with the net profit margin. Our result will show how costs affect profit. The material as cost control is important for managers. This study gives useful idea. It helps improve profitability by managing cost better. Thank you for your attention. Next, we group number will continue.
Hello, Professor. I'm Kongwei Si. Next, I will introduce the technical core, our data, methodology, and key empirical findings, including regression results and discussions. First, data and methodology. We focus on Malaysia's leading dairy farm fresh Berhad, using 2022 to 2025 secondary data from its annual reports and internal databases. For reliable, verified observations with SPS 27, we use a linear regression model to explore how cost and financial factors affect net profit margin. Our key variables include net profit margin as the profitability measure, cost of sales ratios, and operating expense ratio as core cost factors, plus revenue growth rate and debt ratio as controls. Now, move on empirical results. First, descriptive statistics. The company's cost structure is stable. Cost of sales ratio averages 72.57%, operating expense ratio 15.6%, but revenue and net profit margin fluctuate significantly, with net profit margin averaging 10.58%. Capital structure is steady, with debt ratio around 42.9%. Second, correlation analysis. Cost of sales ratio and operating expense ratio are negatively correlated with net profit margin, and cost of sales ratio has a strong negative link with after-tax profit, confirming cost-profit impact. Revenue syncs closely with cost, and no extreme multi-collinearity issue exists. Third, regression results. The control layer shows a marginally significant model, with revenue growth rate nearly significant and a negative coefficient. When adding cost of sales ratio and operating expense ratio, these key variables lack completed statistics due to small sample size, leading to potential overfitting. Overall, the cost of sales ratio is the most critical factor affecting the enterprise net profit margin, followed by the revenue growth rate, while the impact of the operating expense ratio and debt ratio is relatively weak. This conclusion highlights the importance of optimizing the cost of sales structure for improving the profitability of manufacturing enterprises in emerging markets such as Malaysia. That is our core analysis. Next, we will share conclusions and suggestions.
Our study focuses on farm fresh per head cost structure and profitability, looking at cost of sales ratio, operating expense ratio, and net profit margin. Both cost ratios bring down net profit, and cost of sales ratio matters more. It's a key cost. tightly tied to profits. Revenue growth and debt ratio don't have linear effects. Profit changes mainly come from cost structure. For suggestions, manage operating expenses by grouping and cutting low-efficiency spending. Slow overseas expansion spending, working with local distributor first. Optimize logistics for overseas sales to cut extra costs. Stabilize sales cost via long-term supplier partnerships and better production plans. Regularly check revenue and cost ratios, not just sales growth, to adjust plans early and avoid profit decline. That's the end of our presentation. Thank you for your watching.